Humans communicate in more ways than ever, tweeting, texting, or speaking into or out of devices. But they all piggyback on something much, much older, an earlier technology. Perhaps our first.
We think of technologies as devices or apparatus that act on our world, and we can think of language as a technology that's been built not by an engineer, but by evolution, by natural selection.
But that's not the whole story with the original social networking technology.
The first thing that comes to my mind about languages is how it allows us to find out what's going on inside each other's minds. But it's also a kind of a utilitarian view of what language does. Language is not just a tool to package up meaning and send it along to someone else. It's something we join. Language is society.
On today's Digital Human, we're talking about language. But not just language as this thing that's battered and boosted by technology. We've heard horror stories about how text is destroying our mother tongues and the internet has taken the beauty out of what we say. Here, we're going back to basic principles. Language itself is a technology. Discuss. You can follow the program with the hashtag DigiHuman.
What sort of length of answer do you want?
So long as you don't ramble over 5 minutes for each answer.
David Crystal is a linguist, author, and watcher of language in its many guises and evolutions.
I'll do my very, very best. Yes, a spade is a spade is a spade. Go into the garden and it's the same spade as was there yesterday. With language, that's just not the case. Now, a very important point to appreciate is that language doesn't change at a steady rate. A good example is the arrival of the French in 1066, and in the next 200 or 300 years, 60,000 or more words come into English from French. And then there's a sort of lull. And then the Renaissance comes along. Then there's a lull. Then the Industrial Revolution comes along. Then there was a lull. And right now, we're in the beginning of a new period of rapid language change. Not because there's more words coming into English compared with 200 years ago, but simply because the technology allows whatever new words do come into the language to be transmitted in a split second.
Sure, the evolution of language is fascinating. It's a social process. But by only looking at this kind of cause and effect, we're forgetting what language is actually for.
We have to remember that we have our traits to make it more likely that we're going to survive and prosper in the world. And so we have to
Mark Pagel is an evolutionary biologist at the University of Reading.
We all know that we use the remote control device for our television as a way of altering the channels of our TVs. We use our language to alter the wiring inside somebody else's brain so that they'll do something that suits us. Imagine a little child learning to speak. They learn that by making a particular sound or sequence of sounds, they can get pieces of food to move across a room and into their mouths. And we really need to see language evolving in that context as a trait we use to really manipulate the world in ways that suit us, suit our needs. And that's what makes it a technology.